The Trump and Putin summit is over, and we still are very unclear as to what exactly happened behind closed doors. So here's what we know. President Trump arrived here, as did President Vladimir Putin. It was supposed to be a situation in which Vladimir Putin and Trump would meet one-on-one, and then they would go to an expanded bilateral lunch with their delegation. That changed almost immediately in the air. Right as they were landing, the White House announced that it was going to be a 3-on-3. And in terms of President Trump's team, it was going to be him, Steve Witkoff, his envoy, as well as Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Now, all of them went into a meeting with their Russian counterparts. They were there for roughly 2.5 hours. It is still unclear if they ever had any kind of expansion, although it seemed that President Trump indicated there was no more talks after the 3-on-3. Then they came out to do what they were billing as a joint press conference. Only problem was, it's not a press conference if you don't take any questions. So what was the result of this meeting? Well, it's really unclear because you had Vladimir Putin essentially saying that they had come to some kind of agreement, but never giving any details as to what that meant. In fact, he also added that he didn't believe European Union or European leaders should torpedo some of the progress that they made. This was the beginning. This was constructive. But then you got to President Trump, who essentially said there was no agreement. There was no deal. He said that they agreed on a lot of things, but on one big thing or on a couple big things, they didn't agree. So the big question, of course, is whether or not that was about a ceasefire. That is what President Trump came in to get settled. It was all about that ceasefire. Now, when President Trump was talking, he basically said they didn't have time or they didn't get to anything else like business dealings. Now, that gives you a little bit of an indication of where this meeting went, because President Trump had said, and he brought his Secretary of Treasury, Scott Bessent, as well as Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick, that he would have these conversations about potential economic deals after they got through what was going to happen with the Ukraine war. Now, the other very important part of all of this, President Trump said on that stage he had to call his NATO allies. He also said he had to call Ukrainian President Zelensky. The way this ended was essentially both of them saying, we'll see you again soon, but with no actual date or time, meaning there isn't anything actually on the books. So we're trying now, reaching out to our sources to figure out what actually did they agree to, if anything, and what happened in this roughly 3-hour-long meeting behind closed doors.